Slurped up, budgies. Today I thought we could do a mixdown tutorial challenge together and focus on a rock beat, a rock drum and bass beat. So let's get into it. So here I have the acoustic drum beat that I made using the Logic drum kit designer in a recent video. I've bounced out as a break, and I thought it could be cool to add some rock kind of sounding elements to this loop. So I've added an electric guitar sample, and I've layered up a bass line underneath it, one of my Vital basses, and together it sounds like this. So my Vital bass has this nice natural chugging rhythm on it, which sounded a bit like a sort of guitar chugging, you know. So I thought it went quite well with the sort of lead guitar here. And so what we've just got three channels of audio to mix down, you know. So I thought let's mix these down together. What I've done already is I've put in a kick sidechain and a snare sidechain, so that we can trigger some sidechain inputs. I've put a ghost channel to follow the kick, and a ghost channel, you know, with no output to follow this where the snare is. It's a very simple drum and bass loop, you know. The first thing we could mix could be perhaps the lead and the bass. So what you really want is, you know, that bass is nice and powerful and synthy, and you lose a bit of that power when the guitar's on, and you kind of want the bass to have a lot of power in it, you know. So firstly, I could EQ out some low end from the guitar that doesn't need to be in there. So we kind of need this part because it's kind of the fundamental. So this part we might multiband sidechain to the bass, but we'll play it together just with an EQ. It's a bit clearer now. It's not quite there, but it's helped a bit. And I'm listening again. I'm listening to the weight of the bass, the low end, adding in the lead, and seeing how much I lost. And I still have lost a fair amount. So let's definitely sidechain these two. So we'll use the Waves F6. Any multiband sidechain will work. But we're gonna sidechain essentially the low end of the guitars to come out so that the bass has more priority. So let me just set my input to be from instrument 1, which is the bass. And now let's get this a bit bigger. Let's maybe try a low shelf as well here. We'll set the external on, that'll actually help. So it's now actually sidechaining. So we need to go up sort of around 200 or 300, I think, to really give enough space for the bass to come through everything. This is quite heavy sidechaining. But now the bass has got much more power, so we'll leave it like that for now. And now we can start sidechaining the kick and snare through everything as well. So when we hear the drums, we can start with the bass first. So yeah, you can hear the kicks and snare coming through, but they still just conflict a fair bit, you know. So we'll do firstly the kick drum. We'll do another low shelf again, and we'll set the input to be obviously again the kick ghost channel. And on this one then we'll see how much we need to cut out of the bass. We'll do another low shelf again. Pretty good, around 12 or 13 on the threshold. Again, I don't need it to be 100% clear. I kind of like a little bit of a blending, like a 5 or 10% leeway to kind of get the sounds to gel together a little bit. That's pretty good for now. We'll throw a quick one on the snare as well now. So for the snare, we won't do a low shelf. We'll do just a normal kind of bell EQ dip. And yeah, we'll set the input to be from our snare. This one will be even faster and tighter on the Q. Take the range down. Here we go. If we're not sure where the snare is sitting as well, we can have a quick look on our master. If we open up span, we can just check where that snare is exactly. So there it's about 180 or 190 or so. So yeah, go up a little bit higher here. That sounds great. That sounds great. So now we've got the kicks and the snares cutting through the bass. The lead is good against the bass, but we need to do a bit on the lead to the kick and snare now as well. Because you really hear that the kick is still not coming through the mixdown, and that's because the lead needs some side chaining as well. So we'll now do the kicks and snares on the lead, and I'm just copying over the one I'd made for the bass. And then now we can just adjust the amount for the lead. So we'll first listen in. We'll listen in the whole mix now while we do it. That's pretty good for the kick. Now let's do a little one for the snare as well. I did a little bit less for the snare, and that's why I like to do the multiband side chaining on the individuals, especially the individual groups. So because we've got like a bass, which could be part of a bass group, we've got a lead, which could be part of a lead group, but the bass and the lead will need different amounts of side chaining to the kick and snare, because it's not just going to naturally be the same amount, because they're different sounds, you know, and it's worth like dialing them in separately to get the best overall balance. So there we have, like, how long did that take to mix that? Like, not very long at all, right? A final check kind of thing I can do as well as some mid-side EQing, because that always cleans out a bit of extra low end kind of clarity. So I'll just put a couple on my bass here. Perhaps I'll put a couple on my lead as well, just to make sure there's no. I think it should be okay anyway, but we'll just do a little side cut on the lead. And we can also have a little. I think I've already done one on the drums, but I'll just check there's not too much stereo in the drums either. When I take out a bit of extra stereo in the drums, it gives a bit more room for the low end power of the stereo bass to come through as well. So that's nice. We'll clip everything, make sure nothing's clipping, like the leads or the basses or the drums. All the channels are clipped. And we could do a slight bit of volume adjustment now. I feel like maybe the lead could have a touch of almost weakening. I could even perhaps EQ some frequencies out of the lead, perhaps for a bit more space. That's good. Taking a little bit of mids out there, it just gave the bass a bit more room to breathe. And now I'm pretty happy with all of that. What I could do is if I wanted to, I could potentially boost the whole master now a bit more. Yeah, nice sort of 6 dB boost, because basically, yeah, it's all kind of. I'll tell you what I should do. If I group these all up together, like this, and then put that clipper on there, then I've sort of boosted it all up equally, just for that kind of demonstration, you know. So because we cleared out a lot of space by doing good mixdown work. We're able to boost the whole volume again, you know? So now you can compare back to my original mix before we started today, before we did any mixdown work. Here's what it sounded like. Let's just make sure nothing's playing. These guys should be off as well, right? Yeah, here we go. And the clipper here should have no gain. Right, got you. Okay, so this was the original. And now our mixed down version. You hear how like it all sounds much more clearer and balanced, like the bass has loads more clarity and power as well now. Everything's quite squashed together, things are sort of overlapping a lot, and then sometimes the snare like jumps out like a bit too loud. And the bass doesn't really have enough clarity, you know? And on our mixed down version, you've got that consistent like low end power underneath that doesn't sort of ever change, which is great. And the snares are actually, I think we could sidechain the snares a bit more still. I think they could cut through a bit clearer still. So we'll sidechain a bit more on the bass and also a little bit more on the lead. That sounds a bit more perfect now, because when I listened back to the original a moment ago, you just said snares like really random, like sometimes it really comes through, sometimes it doesn't, you know, because the mixdown's not been not been cleared out. But now yeah, it's much more consistent now, and you still get the weight of all of the weight of that snare is still coming through, you know. So and it doesn't have these parts where it sort of jumps up in the mix too much. It's all like level, you know. So that's like a quick and easy way to do a mix down for like a rock kind of loop. If you just got like sort of a break, a bass, and a lead, if you do those things, like clear out those conflicts between the elements. With a bit of EQing, a bit of multiband sidechaining, you can really tidy up the mixdown in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, you know? So hope you enjoyed that little mixdown tutorial, my G's. On the rock and roll drum and bass train. Hope you guys like that. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Leave a comment down below what you thought. And may I remind you before I go as well, if you want any production lessons with me, you can book in via the links down below. If you want mixing and mastering work done, send me an email. If you'd like any preset packs for Serum, Vital, Faceplant or Current, check out my website. And if you'd like to support my content, head over to Patreon, come and join our Discord and grab some other free downloads off the Patreon platform as well. All right, that's it for me today. More from me very soon. Much love.